Internets, the holiday season is here, and there is no better time than to get you or your loved one a Bevel product. If you don't know what Bevel is, I want you to head on over to getbevel.com/Pete. Let me tell you something. They have the best shaving and grooming products in the game. If you want to try and go to Target and grab some, it could be possible, but it's probably sold out. So why don't you go get a discount, get yourself some free shipping at getbevel.com/Pete. Barbers are using the shaver. Everyone's using the razor. Listen, it's holiday season. For a loved one, buy a Bevel. Cheer. Internets, man, I'm so excited, man. I just got back from Houston. What an amazing weekend. We did the live Premium Pete show there at the grand opening in WeWork in Houston at the Galleria. Shout out to the whole team over there. Just a real great team. If you don't know what WeWork is, man, I suggest you go to your local WeWork and really understand and find out what's going on, man. Creatives go there. Business owners go there. People, freelancers, people like me, you go there and get the game started and really just create projects or just run businesses out of there. If you want to stay home, honestly, and try to work from home, you're probably going to dilly-dally. You're probably going to, smoke a joint or, eat a Twinkie. You get lazy, man. WeWork, trust me, it's where it's at. But anyway, listen, I can't wait for that episode. That episode will drop the Houston Live Premium Pete Show. Okay? Honestly, internets, I want to be very honest with you. Okay? From a kid from Brooklyn, just a troublesome kid, getting locked up at a young age, really, just being lost and almost getting lost in the sauce in the system, spending a couple of years there. It was a dark time. To honestly, to be able to have the mayor of Houston, the former mayor of Houston that I brought out, man, besides many other things, my brother Bun B was in the building, Willie D was in the building, Zero was in the building. I mean, look, when that episode's dropped, man, it's going to be a great one. But I really had a great time, and for those who know or may not know, me and my brother Bun B, along with our brand, You Gotta Eat This, the food site, the food, food PR company, we collaborated with UN Athletics and made a sushi-inspired shoe. Okay, sneaker. I'm gonna tell you why. Me and Bun, one of the first times me and Bun met, it was through sneakers, and then we went ham on the sushi. So we figured one day, if we ever got a chance, why don't we make something different? And I'll tell you, I come from the days of sneakers telling stories, all the Nike SBs telling stories. And I'll tell you one thing, man. There's nothing better than a sneaker telling a story. Not every sneaker tells stories these days. So what we did was we put wasabi leather in the sock liner. The upper has all salmon, okay? The back strap tabs have chopsticks inspired. And it's all sitting on white rice, which is the soul. If you listen, go check it out. Just put in sushi, Premium Pete. You got to eat this or whatever. Sushi Bun B, Premium Pete. You'll see it's all over the internet. Shouts to everyone who supported it. All my friends in the sneaker world. All my friends in the hip hop blogosphere, and just really everybody, man. I mean, even Food Beast put it up, so I really appreciate it. We dropped that exclusively in Houston, and it was super special, man. It was super special, man. You know what I love about Houston? I just love how people aren't afraid to show love. Like, real talk, man. People aren't afraid to show love. Just come out and support. And I just feel like being a New Yorker is the most amazing thing in the world because I feel like it gives you that grit and that determination that you can win anywhere. But I also think that sometimes, like, we're too strong and too cold and moving too quick. And sometimes, like Houston cats, every time I've gone there, man, people ain't afraid. I always use this example, so I'll use it one more time. If you get a Mercedes, a brand new Mercedes, and you live in Brooklyn or you live in New York, some of your friends are like, oh, shit, look at P. He got a Mercedes now? Damn, I think he owes me $20 from like 3 years ago. In Houston, they're like, oh, man, that's dope, man. Let me fill up your tank for the first time. That's how I feel. That Southern hospitality is real, and I appreciate Houston. Thank you for always fucking with the kid. Thank you for always supporting me. Listen, that You Got to Eat This, me and Bun B designed the sushi, we called it, was a hit at the Sneaker Summit. It's available now, too. Anybody who wants it, hit me up, email me. My email is in my bio anywhere, Twitter, Instagram. If you want it now, email me. Or also be releasing at the top of the year in very limited quantities. But thank you, Houston, for fucking with me, man. I had such a great time, man. Then I went over to Bun's house, brought the homie Isaiah with me. We had oxtail that Bun's wife, Queenie, cooked. Man, that shit put me to sleep. And then I was on the plane, fucking just knocked out, man. Mouth open, flies and fucking flying in there and shit. But we it doesn't stop, and that's what I want to say too. In this world, I think that when you're moving and shaking, there's a lot of moving and shakers out there. It doesn't have to be just only podcasts or sneakers. Sometimes you could get lost in the sauce. It's like I come, I hit the ground running. I land in Houston. We do a live show. We bring out a bunch of dope individuals from the community. The sneaker's a big hit. We taking pictures, signing boxes, getting rid of what we designed and just really taking a minute to appreciate that. And then, literally, moving and grooving, take a late night flight home, wake up in the morning, I'm changing my son's diaper. So, it's the life is, I always say it's a seesaw, man, and reality sets in real quick. I'll never forget when Memphis Bleak told me a long time ago, he was like, yo, I could go stay in the best hotel for 6 months. I still got to come home after that and see the same counters or the same, dresser or the same closet. And, life is real, man. Life is real. Life is not always movie starish. And I think that when you get grounded like that and you stay humble like that, it makes you a better person, in my opinion. But anyway, listen, Internets, man, I'm so excited that we were able to do that live show in Houston. Toronto, LA, you are on deck. Also, I want to tell you, shouts to everyone who hit me that were on the check-in. Listen, I asked for 3 things last week, and I'm going to let you know again for those who may not listen. Wherever you're at, wherever you're listening from now, take a moment, go on Twitter, at Premium Pete, at The Premium Pete Show. Let me know where you're listening from. Check the fuck in. I appreciate y'all. Number 2 thing I mentioned last week, and I'm going to mention it again. Let me know what books you're reading. I got a bunch of people hit me, told me what books that they're reading. Man, thank you. Thank you for that advice. And number 3 is, I said, look, we can't help each other unless we really help each other. So if you present yourself right and you're doing a podcast yourself also, I want to listen to it. Maybe I'll get on the phone with you, give you some information. I mean, I've been doing it so many years. Maybe I'll tell you what I think is good or what I think is not good. But you got to present yourself correctly on the email. Don't just be like, yo, what's good? Nah, man. Put the email at thepremiumpeteshow@gmail.com. Again, email thepremiumpeteshow@gmail.com. Email me your podcast. Just explain to me what it's about. Put a link in there. I will get to it. Yo, first of all, shouts to everyone who did send me. I will be listening to it. Give me some time. Have some patience. I'll listen to it. For people listening now that didn't hear this, send it to me. thepremiumpeteshow@gmail.com. Just explain it. I'll take a listen. And who knows? Maybe we'll jump on a fucking call. I'll talk with you, your cousin, your sister. Shouts to your sister. I see you. But listen, again, shouts to everyone in Houston. Thank you for showing the kids so much love. And I really want to take the opportunity and time to really say, like, yo, and you know what? I'm gonna say this. When you are spinning, and that's something I feel like I'm always doing. And I tell this to people, anybody who's listened to me over the years. I always ask people, like, yo, do you take the time to celebrate? I remember the other day I was so busy trying to get things in order, trying to get down to Houston, trying to make sure the show was going to be okay to run a show, trying to make sure the sneaker would release in time and everything would be okay. And then all of a sudden, let me tell you something. Somebody was like, yo, you got a shoe releasing? I was like, yeah. They're like, yo, congratulations. Oh, yeah, but I got to go in a... So I already dismissed the fact, and I didn't take my own advice that I always talk to people about taking a moment to appreciate the journey. Because let me tell you something. This shit is a marathon. It's not it's not no small little thing. It's a marathon, Internet. So take patience, take time, but most importantly, appreciate the moments along the way. It means that much. It fucking means that much. But anyway, listen, this episode you're about to get into, I taped it, I would say, about a couple of months ago. And there was a point where I thought I wasn't going to put it out. Reason being is because I didn't agree with everything he said. And not that I didn't want to put it out because I didn't agree with everything he said. It's just because I was like, is this how a cop thinks? And not that I need to prove to anyone how a cop thinks, because I think that a lot of people have seen the climate that we're in these days. But I'll be honest with you, as I started to think about it, I said to myself, man, this is an episode where you could take a look inside of how a cop thinks and how a cop operates and how a cop who's been around and in the force for so many years, and hear all these stories and journeys that he's been through. Internet, I already said, the most decorated cop in New York history, Ralph Friedman. I present the episode to you now.
Come on, everybody get set, let's go. It's the next episode. It's the Premium Pete Show. News, interviews, all of the info. Listen up, it's the Premium Pete Show. If you want the scoop in the low, down low, listen to the show, cause Milk said so. Fuck what you heard, better act like you know. It's the Premium Pete Show.
Internets, welcome back to another episode of the Premium Pete Show. I'm sitting here with labeled as the most decorated cop in history, or get it right for me.
Detective.
Most decorated detective. I also read something on the Post that they were considering you the toughest cop in New York City has only one regret. So right off the bat, for people who don't even know of you or never heard of you, what is that regret that you have?
Well, I was working on a case undercover to catch the bombers of the Francis Tavern bombing. This was back in 1975. And I was doing undercover work with a confidential informer. And due to some circumstances, I wasn't able to complete the job. And I felt at the top point I was stopped that I had them in my, in a position where I could have effected an arrest. And no arrest has been made to this date. And there was 4 people killed and like 52 people injured. It was in Manhattan, New York City here. Very famous thing by the FALN, which was one of the first Puerto Rican terrorist groups on the in New York City.
Really?
Where they did a bombing.
That's crazy. When was this? What year was this?
It was 1975.
Wow. See, I think that was almost the year I was born. God damn.
But
and you were out there chasing terrorists. So go ahead. What are you saying?
Well, I was working on this case, and like I said, I got stopped at a certain point, and it was actually the point where I felt I was just about to arrest them.
But why'd you get stopped?
Well, to make a long story short, really the details are in my book. I have a book out, Street Warrior, which you can get on Amazon.com. But that goes into the detail. But basically, they feel there was an infraction on my part committed with the confidential informant. And a sergeant who was overseeing the investigation stopped the investigation at that point.
You speak about being the most, I don't know where it was labeled, decorated detective, in where? What did they say?
In New York City.
New York City. As I went over a bunch of things about you, you've gotten medals, like what, 200 and something medals?
219 department medals and about 40 medals from outside the police department, like community groups and clubs and stuff that present awards to police officers.
You grew up in the Bronx.
Yes.
And then became a police officer in the Bronx. It's like you almost had like home court advantage,
Yeah.
Were you, the people you knew that were doing things around there, back in the day, were you handling them, meaning, somebody has a joint, you talk to them or, put that out before I have to arrest you. Was it different that you lived in the Bronx and then you became a police officer there? That people knew you and like, oh, now you want to arrest me?
It wasn't exactly like that. I was known in my neighborhood because I was a regular guy in the neighborhood.
Sure.
And, I played football. I was on the school baseball team. I hung out. I raced cars. And I worked in all the local stores. And I was known in the street there. But when I did become a police officer, I was sent to a different part of the Bronx. And it was a totally different experience. Because where I grew up, it was predominantly Jewish, Italian, and Irish. But where I was sent, in the south part of the Bronx, that's when I worked in the neighborhoods that were mostly Puerto Rican and black at the time, and had junkies and stuff. And we didn't experience this where I was. And the violence that was in the streets, it was the ghetto part of the borough of the Bronx, where I didn't frequent or hang out or work or play. So I was exposed to something totally different.
Yeah. How hard is that to be a cop or a detective or whatever, the steps you took when you're dealing with, like, you come from an area where it's like Italian and Jewish and then all of a sudden, smack then you got junkies that are coming at you, I'm sure, or
Well,
how did you
you
react
learn
to that?
how to survive, and you first off you're trained.
What does that even mean for people who may not even know?
Well, you go through the police academy, and in those years, the police academy was 4 months long, but you did it 8 hours a day. There was 3 hours of gym and 4 hours of class, and a 1 hour break, and you're taught the laws and procedures in the classroom, and then in the gym, they get you physically in shape to do the job, and you also train in some boxing and all types of police techniques on how to use a nightstick, how to use a day stick, how to put on cuffs. There's training methods and techniques that you learn, and then you go at some point, you go to the firing range and you learn how and when to use your weapon. And then you're equipped, mentally and physically, and you go out into the street, and you learn other things in the street as you go along from, handling cases and from working with other officers who've been in the street before you.
Just not being in a neighborhood, I always wonder, like, I'm a Brooklyn kid. I grew up in Brooklyn. I remember my grandmother had a country house in Pennsylvania. And we used to visit, and I used to feel like it was a getaway. We used to go up there. There was a lake and everything. But it was totally different to me, totally different people, totally different style, how people move. Even now, I live in Jersey. I don't know if I could have grew up in Jersey, maybe because I grew up in New York. But, the kids that grew up there, it's totally different for them. So what I'm saying, as a cop, you grew up, in the Bronx and in a neighborhood that was more, say, peaceful.
Well, I grew up in the North Bronx.
Okay.
And then I worked in the South Bronx.
Yeah.
And it was a world of difference.
Yeah. Well, I guess the reason why I asked for it is because it's like, you're dealing with totally different people that you probably weren't even witness to or used to. And back in the day, I do feel like, and this is, your opinion that I want. Back in the day, I do feel like people gave a little bit more chance as a cop, meaning like, now it's like maybe people don't get to know the community. Like the cop doesn't take the time to, go around. Like when I was growing up, I knew the cops. Cop knew me. At this time I had a joint and, he's like, hey, listen, put that away. Or do you feel it's still like that or no?
When I went to the South Bronx, there was no joints around. The only drug I saw was heroin. I didn't see another drug until I got transferred, when I got promoted to detective and went back to the North Bronx. But the only drug we saw was heroin. They couldn't afford coke at the time, and pills weren't big, and they didn't bother with marijuana.
Yeah.
Weed wasn't, a big thing in the ghetto, at that point. And it was only heroin out there and junkies. But, I treated everybody with respect until I didn't return it. You get treated decent until you show me you deserve something different.
We went over before. You said you had 219 total medals, right?
From the police department.
From the police department. With somebody, is that normal for someone to have 219 medals?
No, that's definitely hasn't.
So how does for somebody listening at home, like how the fuck does that even happen? Like how does?
Well, I was always out there. I was always willing to get involved, and I took actions, and I did plain clothes work and made arrests that stood out, and I got myself involved in situations. Not that other police wouldn't have done the same thing, but I was out there all the time, and I don't know if you want to say I was in the wrong place at the right time or the right place at the wrong time, but I was always there. I was one of these guys that always fell into things, and I was, willing to take the action, and some of them were outstanding stuff that I got recognized by my superiors and the police department or the mayor.
With all the injuries and the near-death experiences, and from what a lot of people say is very low pay, the sacrifices in the family for being a police officer, why keep going? What made you keep on going?
I think police officers are a different breed that, you have this calling that, you can't go out and help everybody. It's not like you're going to save the world, but you're doing something. It's a calling. And you're not doing it just for the money, because most cops could make more money doing something else. But it's this, if you help one person, you're helping, or if you save a life, it's a tremendous feeling when you take bad guys off the street, and it's a calling. It's more of a lifestyle than a job.
Yeah. But I mean, there are people who are providing for their family, and that is the only job they have. And it's not the best pay, you know what I mean?
But there's a big satisfaction when you take a bad guy off the street who preys on innocent and weak people.
I'm sure, but I don't know if everyone has that same opinion. You know what I mean?
Well, the cops that I've always worked with have known, and I've known.
In this day and age, you don't think that the cops should make more money?
Well, I always think the police can make more money.
But I mean, you know what I think? I think that if the cops made more money and had a harder time, meaning a harder, like just made it harder to become a cop, made it more, maybe more, things, ropes and hoops and things they had to jump through, because you can't just become a cop and then, not have the training they have. More training, probably, I guess, is what I mean.
Well, they require today that you have to have a certain amount of college degrees to become a cop and be promoted. I'm not, I don't always think that's the correct thing. You got to have street smarts, and we didn't have to take college then, but there's book smart and there's street smart.
Yeah, but you can't buy street smart, and you can't.
No, you
teach
get that only
smart.
from experience.
Yeah,
you got to be on the street. And you learn, and you have to use common sense. And sometimes you have to go around from exactly what they teach you in the police academy, because you're dealing with people. And, it's not always set in stone how every person's going to act or react, and you have to adjust to that,
But there's so many things besides going over your journey and career. I mean, there's so many things and questions that I have just as a person, the reason why I say the cops should make more money is I feel like if you made it a job that they were paid more, and it wasn't the easiest job just to get into. I know you say it's the college credits, but I feel like more police officers would, some of them I feel like it's. Man, I don't even, I've never been lost for words on certain things, but, I'm trying to put these the right way, because I just feel some police officers, like, I'll give you an example. I'm in Jersey, nice neighborhood. I get pulled over because I didn't put a left blinker on, they said. I thought I did, even if I didn't. God bless. Asked for license and registration, no problem, officer. I get my license and registration. Cop looks at me dead in my face, says, what are you doing around here? So I guess maybe I should have just said, I live around here. But I said, officer, did you look at my license? He said, I asked you, what are you doing around here? And I said, officer, did you look at my license? Just as a regular man, like a regular, you looked at my license. I seen him look at my license right in front of my face, so I just wanted to ask him. And he says, I didn't ask you. I asked you what you're doing around here. So finally I says, look, I'm not going to play this game with it. I'm not trying to get in trouble for no reason. I said, officer, I live around here. Right up the block. I'm a homeowner. It's a problem. But I felt he wanted to just put this type of fear in me.
Right, let me explain it.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Okay. We all know putting a blinker is not anything serious. But how do you think the police find stolen cars? If your car was stolen, you'd want the police stopping a car to recover that car for you. You work for the car, you spend your money, and minor infractions lead to bigger crimes. A lot of times guys jump over the turnstiles, and they got a gun or a drug on them. Now he stopped you for whatever reason, but he's out there doing his job. He's checking on the car. Now, as far as asking you about where you live, what are you doing here? Yeah. A lot of people have fake licenses. They don't know the stuff on the license. They take it for granted. Maybe he thought it was forged. Maybe you didn't know. Maybe it ain't your license. You know what I mean? There's a lot of factors that go into this.
Yeah.
That officer that stopped you was doing pro-policing, which people should be grateful for, because if it wasn't your car, you'd want that car back. Or if you didn't belong in that neighborhood, not that when you say belong, people go to other neighborhoods to commit crime, buy drugs, assault somebody, do anything. This guy, whoever stopped you, was doing their job. Everybody today doesn't like to get stopped. Let me just put it this way. If you would have said to him right away, I live right there, officer, you wouldn't have to make the officer proceed to get to the point where he says, well, look, this is what I'm asking you. You're creating a smaller confrontation, and they only lead to bigger ones.
Yeah.
No one likes to get stopped or deal with the police, and everybody thinks they have an entitlement. Cop was doing his job. If your car was stolen, you'd be really happy that he recovered your car. But that's all I could say.
But more importantly, you told me you're into social, be on Facebook and Instagram. I'm sure you see so much stuff. And like recently, I seen a video of a cop pulling over a black man for a blinker, but he had his hand on his gun the whole time. And did you see that video I'm talking about? Where the guy was
I've seen so many of them,
It's recently.
Well, let me put it this way. Menial things, like people take it for granted when they see a cop just pulling over a car or going to a family dispute. These are very, very dangerous situations. We just take them for granted because you see them every day. But the cop pulling over a car, he has no idea who's in that car. Did that guy just kill somebody down the block? Is he wanted for breaking out of prison? Did he just rob a store or beat up his wife or shoot somebody? You're getting into a very dangerous situation. And I don't blame any cop for having his hand on his gun. I always did.
But how do you feel about, like, say, the shootings of unarmed black men that are going on in this world today?
Listen, these situations are always, every situation's a different one. These guys make a fast motion. Sometimes they run away and they point a gun at the cop. I had a shooting where the gun wasn't recovered, and I was able to prove that he had a gun, way beyond a shot of a doubt, and I killed the guy, and it was justifiable. The circumstances.
But why was it justifiable?
Okay, I'm driving around on patrol. I get stopped by somebody, and they tell me, a guy just robbed me. I said, okay, let's go look for him. He tells me, I know where he lives. I said, you know where he lives? He says, yeah, I know the guy. Okay, let's go to his house. I go to the guy's, me and my partner go to his house. We go right up to the apartment, knock on the door. Wife answers the door and tells us he's not home. I hear a window opening. So we charge past her and we see him going out the window, right? Now, the guy describes the gun to us beforehand. Right? He tells us he got whatever gun. It was silver-plated gun, 38, whatever, okay. He goes out the window, and his window led to a taxpayer roof, which is over a store. From there, he leaped off the roof onto the ground, and when he got onto the ground, turned around and points a gun at us. We open fire, and we shoot and kill him. And we run downstairs. We weren't going to jump off the roof like him, and we know that he's down now. We run through the apartment, back down the stairs. By the time we got down there, the gun was gone. So we also have a complainant who's swearing that he robbed him at gunpoint, and he describes the gun. So now I go back up. We search his apartment with a supervisor, and in his drawer where he sleeps, in a nightstand, are bullets that match the gun. Okay? So now we got a civilian witness who described the gun. You got bullets in this guy's house, in his nightstand, that match the gun that he described. And we start searching his closet, and we find a photo albums. And in there, he's posing with the gun that the guy described, and it matches the bullets. And there he is, like they pose on Facebook now, which we didn't have back then. And there he is posing with the gun. Polaroids.
A 1 hour photo. God bless 1 hour photos.
And there you go.
When you shoot someone or even kill them, does it haunt you?
Not at all.
So
because it's saving my partner's life or my life or a civilian's life. Listen, police officer, when you take a shooting incident, the police officer doesn't have any choice. The choice is in somebody else's hands. Police officer's doing his job. The perpetrator has all the choices. He could surrender, get cuffed, and go to court and talk to his lawyer. He could fight the cop, which is his choice. He could run, which is his choice. He could try to stab the officer. He could try to shoot the officer. So the officer's only responding to that guy's choice. The officer was only doing his job and making an arrest. The perpetrator has all the choices. The officer doesn't. But if he chooses to resist arrest, that's his choice.
Yeah.
And the consequences, he's got to pay.
But what about, okay, obviously, you can't be blind to see what's been going on. There has been a lot of officers, like that officer in Minnesota. You know what I'm talking about? The Philando Castile? The one where he shot him and let him just bleed out his wife and the kid was in the back. In Minnesota, you know what I'm talking about?
I'm not familiar with that single story.
Well, anything. Any of
Listen,
these...
do you know how many police actions are taken a day across the United States by police? Must be millions. Whatever it is, stopping a car, responding to a robbery. There's always going to be one or two bad ones. But you're talking about probably not even 1/10% that goes wrong. The others are bad guys. These guys go to work like you go to work, but you don't expect to get killed on your job or get shot here. Police officers face that every day, no matter what they're doing. You got officers that are ambushed in their cars and killed for sitting there in a blue uniform. You're not going to get that. A doctor who's doing surgery, he's got a team of people with him, nurses. They could decide to do this or that. Judge got weeks and months to make up his mind. When a cop has to use his gun, it's a split second. There's no job in the world like that, except maybe the military.
Yeah. But
they have everybody Monday morning quarterbacks them.
What I guess what I'm trying to get at for this.
Are there a mistake made? Are there...
Not. I wouldn't say mistake.
But we're talking about. Do you think I'm not going to say that any cop goes out there with the intention of just shooting somebody? I don't believe that.
But even with all these videos,
I don't believe that.
Like, what about the guy?
Videos start and stop with the guy who's running them. They show a cop punching a guy in the face, but they don't show that the guy punched the cop in the face first. The video starts when you press the button. They could also be doctored after the fact. They could be photoshopped. I don't believe all this stuff.
So
videos could be doctored. They make movies. They show you people getting killed in movies. It's fake.
So let me ask something. You don't believe in any of these?
I don't believe that a cop goes out there with the intentions of purposely shooting a person.
Well,
a mistake could be happening, tragedies. Someone says the guy's armed and the guy turns around, doesn't listen to the cop, and makes a motion, and the cop fears for his life and fires. Of course that happens. And if the guy doesn't listen to a command, he's making the choice again.
But I mean, there has been videos. This is what I guess what I'm trying to get at, because this,
like I said, videos start when the guy. No,
I know, but
wants
there's been dashboards in the cams of cops like that. They ask the guy to go get his license.
First of all, you're never supposed to resist arrest, and you're supposed to obey an order. Just obey the order. There's avenues after an arrest. You can make complaints on police. You could file lawsuits. You could sue them. There's so many avenues you got. But if you resist arrest or don't follow a command, which is equivalent to not following an order or being, you're resisting arrest, then you're taking your chances.
I guess we're still not getting. So you don't believe that any cop has the intention of killing anybody?
Right.
Okay. I with all due respect, I got to disagree with you, and I'm going to tell you why.
But you haven't worked with cops. Have you gone out with patrol? Have you had the job? No.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is it's blatant these days.
It ain't blatant.
I got to disagree.
I don't think it's blatant. You know how many of these shootings that the officer doesn't get indicted? It's just a small crowd that makes a lot of noise, that gets the attention. Of course it's going to make the news because it's something out of the ordinary. And you got a small amount of people that make a lot of noise. I'm not saying there are mistakes made. Or if a guy isn't armed but acts like he's armed or doesn't follow a command and gets shot, that's his choice.
Let's go over somebody like Eric Garner. You know the guy from Staten Island?
I know that case inside out.
So you think that was right? Here's the thing. Okay, here's the thing I want to even make a bigger point on, because I feel like I don't want to hit a brick wall with you. Here's the biggest thing. A lot of cops, I feel, shot where they could have done, if these are unarmed men, okay? There's been a lot of black men that have been killed, but forget about black, let's just say people. Why couldn't they do other things? Meaning, like, you couldn't shoot them in the leg. You couldn't shoot.
That's movie stuff. You're not taught to shoot no leg or arm. That's out. 100% no good. You aim for the solid mass. Every department you taught that. Do you know how hard it is? That's movie stuff you're talking about. And Eric Garner resisted arrest, and that officer never, ever used a chokehold. He used a takedown hold that I've used over 1,000 times. That guy was 350 or 375 pounds, resisted arrest. This is not, when a cop tells you you're under arrest, you're under arrest. This is not a dental appointment where you adjourn it or you say, I call up, I can't make it. I saw that video 100 times. That cop acted 100% correct and the way he was taught. Nobody hit Garner when he was on the floor. Nobody kicked him. Nobody did anything.
Yeah, but he choked him.
No, he did not. He took him down.
I consider that a choke call.
No, it's not. There's not even this.
But
why do you think he wasn't indicted? Because he did nothing wrong.
Because he was white.
No, he did nothing wrong.
I don't believe that.
He did nothing wrong. I've done that 1,000 times. And I'm not exaggerating. There's nothing wrong with what he did. He never cut off his breathing in front of him. He took him down, and then no one assaulted him or kicked him or hit him.
So him
that
saying...
That guy was 100% right.
So him saying, I can't breathe.
Well, you can't... He made the choice to resist arrest. Otherwise, every perpetrator would say that. So that means every time... What are we playing, like 6-year-old kids, and you say, Uncle? This ain't games.
No, I know what you're saying, but what I'm saying
that
is...
That means
every guy who's unarmed...
Every guy who doesn't want to be subdued says, I can't breathe.
Yeah.
Then you can't make any arrest. So that means you want to do a raid. No,
I don't want to take anything away from your career.
He backed up.
But, yeah.
He's 375 pounds or so, and he says, I'm not being arrested. That's it. He goes down and he gets cuffed no matter what it takes. They didn't shoot him. They didn't kick him after he was down. Everything on that tape was 100% perfect. And that's why he's not indicted. That's why the feds aren't going after him. There's nothing they could do. It was a takedown hold, which you taught.
But there's a lot of when you
there's
say
nothing wrong with that.
When you say that, I can't agree with that. But you say when the cops when you talk about indictment, and you're saying a lot of cops weren't indicted.
That's right. The DAs would like to indict a cop.
Why?
That's a feather in their cap because they don't get cops. If they did something wrong, they'd be indicted. But if they're in fear of their lives and they have to take an action, that's justified.
So do you believe like that there is a blue line when they talk about police officers, detectives or whatever?
You know what that blue line represents?
What?
That's the line between chaos and anarchy. And we uphold the blue line.
But don't you think that,
it's not a blue wall of silence.
But you don't think that, like, and I'm sure you had partners, you don't think that there's, I mean, I grew up in Brooklyn. I've seen tons of crooked cops. You don't think that another cop telling someone like, yo, that wasn't right what you're doing, or to stick up for, the people, like that the cops aren't doing, so the cops who aren't doing that. You don't think that
I told you, if you feel a cop isn't doing something right, there's other avenues, but you can't resist arrest.
Have you ever had a partner or seen a cop that has been crooked? That took drug money?
When I was a rookie,
things wrong?
There was an incident. It's in my book, and you'll read about it.
Mm-hmm.
And he got arrested while I was with him.
Mm. And did other cops open their mouth and be like, yo, that's not right what you did, or,
Yeah, they did. But it wasn't right what he did. That's why he got arrested.
But you don't see that enough anymore.
I never seen it.
Yeah.
I saw it once when I was a rookie. But I worked in, you ever hear like birds of a feather flock together? I worked with guys that worked like me. We were after bad guys. We dealt with violent criminals. And we were out there to make a difference and lock up bad guys. And that's what we did, and we protected the public.
And so,
well, who do you think holds the line? It's the cops, the first line of defense.
I just feel like the system, I mean, like I said, I don't want to go back and forth. I definitely want to go through your career, but, I just feel like the system.
Well, my career was taking bad guys off the street. And if they resisted arrest, they were being placed under arrest. Any means necessary. It was their choice. If they got shot or died from it or got put in the hospital, it was their choice. If I tell you under arrest, you're under arrest. You could go the easy way or the hard way. And I worked with cops who worked the same way and weren't corrupt and were making a difference.
So you don't think that any cops out there that are too aggressive, too
I was
overpowering?
aggressive. I was very aggressive and overpowering to bad guys.
Yeah. But are you able
You know what?
to tell?
These are guys that are
Yeah.
20 years old with muscles
Yeah.
and would beat up an 80-year-old woman, beat up your grandmother, take her money, hurt her. And you got cops that are putting their lives on the line to stop that.
Yeah.
And I'd be aggressive with them. Sure, I would be. If they could bully an 80-year-old woman, I'll bully them.
Yeah. No, I mean, that I get and I understand, but I just feel
Well,
like...
who's going to do that?
I mean...
Who's going to do that?
Listen.
Cops do that.
Yeah, I mean, there's neighborhood people who do that, you know? I mean...
Not the same.
Yeah, but here's the last point I'll make about this, and then we'll move on to something different. When I lived in a townhouse in Jersey, when I just moved out there, before I moved out, there was a cop, and it's like I said, nice area. There's a cop that used to stroll through that townhouse area, you know? I guess, you know, just doing rounds, you know? And in that area in Jersey, a lot of areas in South Jersey is like not a lot to do, you know what I mean? I'm sure, you know, they're not as busy as, say, a New York cop, you know? But every time he would drive through, he would just stare at me or stare at anybody. And I may be walking out my house.
Maybe you're a little paranoid.
No, I'm being honest. He would just stare at me. See, this is why I want you to think. I want to change your thinking for a second. Just for this day. Just for this moment. I want to change your thinking to understand the people.
I understand people.
No, hold on. I want to explain. Because I didn't let that cop get away with that shit. He would stare at me all the time. And I would wave. Jersey, they're big at waving. When I just moved out there, I told my father, what the fuck are people waving at me for? He said, Pete, they're nice out here. They wave to you. Not miserable like us at home back in New York. Cop would pass by. This is week in, week out.
He's doing his job. He's patrolling.
I understand, but I would wave, or he would look at me with his face. Like it was
Maybe
fucking...
he didn't like your wave.
I
Maybe he thought you were...
I didn't...
You know,
instead of you thinking an excuse, hear me out. So fucking finally, one day, because mind you, I didn't wave to him every time. In the beginning, I was just like, why is this guy looking at me like that? I'm just coming out my house. I'm opening my garage. I'm in my car. You understand? I know
Maybe
you say...
he thought you were really good looking. He wanted to...
He probably did. But the point I'm trying to make is when I finally spoke to him, I said, officer, you drive by every day. You give me a dirty look. Do you know... Number, hear me out. You're patrolling this community that I'm a homeowner in. You're patrolling this community that I pay taxes in. I didn't do nothing wrong. He said, I never said you did. I said, yeah, but what takes a wave? What takes a hello? You know, I feel like there's so many cops now that just don't know how to just be regular, like, people. Turn it off.
Maybe you just take it that way. You know what I mean? You thinking that he's looking at you in a harsh way or something, that's a perception.
I mean, I looked at him.
No, you're that's what you perceive. Maybe that's his look. Maybe that's the way he looks all the time. Maybe he looks at his kids like that. You know what I mean? It's a perceived perception.
Yeah. Well,
So,
I want to get back to the point I was making when I grew up.
That cop was out there patrolling you around your property.
It's a fucking... That's such a quiet area. Maybe a dog took a shit. That's the only thing that he's got to be bothered with. There's nothing going on out there.
No burglary ever.
I don't want to say that.
Okay.
But, I mean, who knows?
The guy's out there
No,
patrolling.
but what I'm
that's
saying...
what he's paid to do.
You know, back in the day, one thing I
Because you don't like the way he looks.
No, but people wave... homeowners wave to them. Hey, how's everything going? How you doing? Oh, good, you know? Like, you know, get to know the fucking people in your community. You know, when you said...
Like I say, you perceived it that way. You perceived it that way.
I mean, I'll tell you one thing. And that guy stuck with one ugly fucking face because he looked at me like...
There's all people with ugly faces. We can't all be good looking like you and me.
I told him he's marvelous. He's a beautiful guy, you know? You know, it's definitely... you know what? Let's take a quick break. Because I got to regroup here. We'll take a quick break. We're sitting here with Ralph Friedman, retired detective. How many years on the force?
14
years. We're gonna get back into some things. We're gonna try to find the pace of his journey and where he's at now and what he's doing. Internets, we'll be right back. Cheer.
Hi, this is Misa Hilton, and you're listening to the Premium Pete Show.
Internets, we already told you that this episode is sponsored by the good folks at Bevel. Okay, it's Christmas time. It's holiday season. You know what that means? You bring somebody or you get somebody, or you ship somebody a gift. No better gift to get somebody than bevel. Okay? I already told you bevel, that bevel blade is a major key. Nas already said that also. But look, listen, you want to get somebody you love a bevel product and you want to save some money and get some free shipping? Head on over to getbevel.com/Pete. If you mess with the show, you mess with me. Take advantage of this. Getbevel.com/Pete. The best grooming products in the game. That's Bevel. One more time. Getbevel.com/Pete. Log on now. What are you waiting for? Now let's get back to the show. Cheer. Internet, and we're back sitting here with Ralph Friedman, the most decorated detective in New York City. Is that the slogan? Which one's the best one?
New York's most decorated cop or New York's toughest cop?
Now, who named you that? You named yourself that? Or
no. The medals speak for themselves, the numbers. And the New York's toughest cop was back in 1978. The Daily News sort of pinned that on me.
Why did they say that? Why did they say you're the most toughest cop?
Well, at the time, a lot of prisoners resisted arrest and they got hospitalized. And I already had a few shootings under my belt. And, I had a reputation on the street for not taking any shit.
So if somebody was getting arrested and they resisted or anything like that...
necessary force was used.
And what about you? Didn't you get hurt yourself?
I got hurt.
How many times was your nose broken?
No, my nose was only broken once.
Okay.
No, but I broke I'd say in the course of my career, I broke over 50 bones.
Really? How?
Yeah.
How'd that happen?
Mostly all fights. And then the last one, I broke 23 bones, was a car accident that ended my career. I had my hip shattered in 100 pieces. I broke all my ribs, front and back. Broke my pelvic, left, right, upper and lower.
Fuck.
And then the
How
rest
did that happen?
That was a car accident, responding to an officer needed help. And I was racing over there, and I got T-boned by a police car.
So
After all my encounters with bad guys, I got hurt by the police. And that ended all the bad guys couldn't take my career, couldn't end my career, but the police did by accident. And the other bones before that were all fights.
Did that guy feel terrible?
Oh, yeah. He was a rookie yet. And, he felt terrible.
Okay. I hope you didn't kill him. Is he still around? We got to find a PBA on that guy.
Yeah.
We got to find. Now, let me ask you something. We'll bounce around. You have a book out. What's the name of the book?
The book is Street Warrior.
How does that happen? Like, did that come to you, or how does that even happen? Because the police, what do you call it, system, or what do you call the police when you think of as a whole? You say the police system, organization is kind of like, we don't talk about this shit. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like most cops. How does a book happen? And you also have a documentary out, right? Or a
TV series.
TV series.
Yeah, docuseries.
Let's start with the book. How does that even happen?
Well, I always had a lot of stories that I tell people and stuff. Everybody asks you stories when you're a cop or retired.
All right,
cop.
so let's stop there. Tell me a story.
What kind of story do you want to hear?
Man, you said people always want to hear a story.
Most of the time they want to hear an action story or shooting.
I would love to hear an action story.
Okay. Well, I just told you one prior to the break.
Okay. We get another one.
I'll tell you another one. Me and my partner were patrolling. We were undercover in the yellow taxi cab. I was the driver. He was the passenger. And we saw a bunch of kids going over, sort of begging for money or asking people for money. So we figured, there was about 7 to 10 of them. We figured sooner or later they were going to rob somebody. Because they, get 10 guys going around somebody asking for money. At some point, it's going to become intimidation, or they're just going to take the money. So we were following them at a certain distance, keeping them under observation. And then they approached a few people, and then they approached another guy, and all of a sudden the guy pulls out a gun and shoots the kid in the chest, right in front of us. So I stomp on the gas, we pull right up to him, and we jump out of the car, and he starts firing at us. And we're about 10 feet away. And I start chasing him up the street. My partner had the radio. He calls for an ambulance for the kid. It was a 15-year-old kid shot at point-blank range in the chest. And now he's exchanging shots with me while I'm running up the street.
And you're in uniform, or
No,
you're,
I was we were in plain clothes, undercover in a taxi.
did you now? What's the? I don't want to defer your story, but what's the laws? Like, do you have to say police? You know what I mean? Do you have to address?
Well, you would
yourself?
do that by instinct. You know, first of all, you got a guy who's in the middle of shooting a kid, and you jump out of the car and he starts shooting at you. So as I'm chasing him, you know, he's turning around and his arms extended. If I would have shot him then, I would have shot him in the back. You know, and there'd be a big stink about it, but you could shoot someone in the back and they're shooting at you. He's running with his back to me.
So you're not allowed to shoot in the back?
Well, no, I was going to shoot him. I tried to shoot him then, of course. You know, he's firing at me. And then he stops and he crouches down and he still shoots at me, but my partner ran to the other side of the street. So we sort of he tried to outflank him. So if he tried to cut across the street, my partner would be there. At this time, my partner didn't fire yet. And he had my partner pinned behind the car. And he started alternating his shots. Now, this was a revolver. And during this, he stopped and reloaded. And when he stopped and crouched and reloaded, I ducked behind the staircase. So he could only see. It was like a tenement buildings where the steps go up like 5 or 6 steps, and then you have a couple of steps that go down to like a sort of like a below ground apartment. So I was crouched behind there, and now I ran out of bullets, you know. So I took out a second gun, and I'm lining up my shots. He can only see me from my eyes up, and I'm leaning my gun on the stoop, and I'm lining up the shots, and I'm still no effect. You know, he's still pegging one shot at me, one at my partner. And now, suddenly, my partner pops up and fires one round. I'm already into like 9, 10 rounds already.
God,
From 2
for this
guns.
one guy?
He's reloading. He reloaded twice, right? And my partner pops up and shoots one round and catches him in the shoulder because he grabs his shoulder and falls down. At that point, I run up to the guy. And I know I got 1 or 2 bullets left. You know, you're taught never to release your last bullet unless you really have you can't be unarmed, you know. So I run up to him. The guy's laying on the ground. And he raises his hand to shoot at me. And I'm standing right over him. And I put one in his head and kill him right there. But it wound up after we did an autopsy and stuff. I hit him like 7 times. The bullets had no effect on him. He was high on drugs and alcohol.
Say that, yeah.
And plus our bullets weren't as strong back then. You know, we're using 38s. And it was winter and he had a jacket on. And, you know, the bullets, I shot him a few times, a good grouping in the center mass, chest and stomach. He didn't go down.
Was that your most nervous moment on the job, or do you have one?
Well, I never was really nervous in a gun battle because they usually happen very fast, and you rely on reflex and training. You know, nervous is when you're doing something in slow motion. You know, but you know, you overcome your nerves and you do what you have to do. I took my job seriously, and I always felt I was prepared for it. And you know, there were fights that I lost and stuff. I mean, I've had my ass kicked a lot of times. You know, but you know, you got to do what you got to do.
In an arrest?
Oh yeah.
And they got away?
No, they didn't get away.
Nobody ever got away?
I wouldn't say nobody, but you know, I had a shootout where a guy got away. You know, I shot him, but he got away.
Now you have to answer to, as a detective, you had to answer to what, a sergeant?
Yeah, there's a detective sergeant.
How hard was that to explain things?
You have to answer to any boss.
Okay.
Sergeant, lieutenant, captain. You know, even if they weren't in the detective bureau, you know, protocol said you reported to your sergeants. But if a uniformed sergeant asks you something, or a lieutenant, they're still your boss. You know, protocol would have you go up the detective line, but the other boss is a sergeant. You know, he still outranks you.
Yeah.
And you would have to answer to him if he questioned you or anything like that.
Was it hard to, you know, sometimes like, you know, did they always listen to your story or sometimes challenge you, you know, like?
Well, I've been challenged. You know, a boss is a boss. They have their job to do. And, you know, I still had to report to them, and I had to tell them, not everybody agrees with you all the time.
Yeah. What's the most trouble you ever got into for, like, say, not following protocol? Or have you ever been in?
Yeah, I've been in trouble. One time, well, this was a very, very big case. I was working undercover by myself, and I was only reporting to a captain, my immediate captain. And at one point, it got so close to the arrest, and it was probably the biggest case in New York at the time. And it's still a case that wasn't solved today, but it was the
Can you mention what case it is?
The Francis Tavern bombing.
Okay, you told me that. Yeah.
And
that's the one that you regret, right?
That's exactly.
Yeah.
That was a case that, I had to answer to other bosses, and they didn't like the way things went down. And I felt technically I was sort of like under arrest. They had me in the precinct, wouldn't let me do anything. I was being held. And my captain came down and vouched for the whole operation and everything. And, that was it. But that was, I butted heads with somebody there. There was another time I butted heads with some bosses. I rammed into a drug dealer. It was the only way I could stop him, by crashing my car into his. And they wanted me to fill out an accident report. And I said, I didn't have an accident. I said, yeah, but your car hit his car. I said, yeah, but it wasn't an accident. I did it on purpose. I had a purpose. I didn't have an accident. So, I finally got to the point where a boss came and ordered me to do it. But I filled out the report and crossed out accident and wrote purpose on it.
So, it's
I was hard-headed. Just like I argue with you, I argue with a boss.
Yeah.
If I felt I was right.
Yeah. Hey, listen, have you ever admitted that you were wrong?
Yeah, somewhere I must have been at that.
Yeah.
I don't know where, but I can't recall it.
Yeah. So let's get back to the book. So how it came about, you were saying?
Well, actually, the book came about, I always wanted to write a book. I had my material and stories. And, I didn't find the right person, it wasn't the right time. But, now was the right time. And I got connected to a writer through Facebook. And I never met the writer yet. I still haven't met him. We did the book. We're very good friends. We talk every day.
How did you do the transaction? Just through the phone and through emails?
Yeah, we did the whole book through emails and telephone. We spoke numerous times a day, and then we would email stuff and go over it, And it took about a 2-year process with contracts and editing, and actual writing took probably 6 solid months. But then you have editing and promotion and all that, and then the book came out, and you have to decide on, the cover and colors and what's going to be done and pictures that were going to go in.
But how did you even know how to do any of this shit?
Well, I collaborated on it mostly, and the writer, he had a few books out already.
So he had experience.
So he had a lot of experience. He had like 6 books out already, and he was a very good writer. And he recommended 2 of his books, which I read, were outstanding. And I hope my book was going to be 1/4% of that.
Were you ever worried about putting out a book where it was like kind of like you were opening up or telling stories or trying to?
No, I don't worry about that.
Yeah, you weren't.
I tell the truth, and I tell my stories, and I have my feelings, and I have my defenses, and. I'm no problem with it at all.
Do you still have a lot of, mostly all your friends' offices, or,
No, I have all kinds of friends.
What about the friends that are offices?
I'm still friends with them, too.
Yeah.
And I make new friends that are offices and stuff. I'm out there all the time, and I see people and stuff. And I do a lot of mingling.
What do you think, going back for a second, what do you think, like, from every officer you speak to, what do you think, being that, cops and it's a very I guess it's a very strong time where it's like cops and people and cops and murders and cops and look at all these riots that have gone what are some of the personal cops that you speak to, like what are their thoughts of all this stuff that's going on, like how they're perceived now, and how
obviously morale is low. They have no backing from the mayor. And that filters into the higher echelon of the police
de Blasio.
Yeah, de Blasio is terrible.
Why is that? Why do you say it's terrible?
Well, he always had a disdain for police. It was apparent the first minute he took office. He's been arrested before, for protesting himself.
Yeah.
And he just doesn't like police. And now he's in charge of them.
Do you think a mayor who doesn't like police became a mayor? But I mean, what?
He has a disdain for police.
No, I'm just saying. I don't know that. So what makes you say that? Like how?
Well, he lets that be known. That's by his actions.
Yeah.
He caters to perpetrators. He doesn't respond to police funerals. He goes late to them. It's so obvious. He has a disdain for police, and they're returning the favor.
The only thing I don't. What do you mean you're returning the favor?
Well, when they turn their backs on him. In that incident, where he went to a hospital and they turned their backs on him.
Yeah.
What do you expect? You give respect and get respect. It's a two-way street.
The only thing,
he doesn't respect police.
I don't know that about de Blasio. The only thing I don't like is that
I know it, and all the police know it.
The only thing I don't like about him is that he ate pizza with a fork and knife, and I feel like that's sacrilegious.
He did that in Brooklyn too.
Yeah. So that's what I do know about him. But you're saying, like, as in a time like, what can be done if you think about it? If you were back on the force, obviously you would do what you're doing. But what could be done to? And I do want you to understand my point too. And I understand what you're saying, where you're like, hey, cops go out and they don't know what the fuck is happening or going on, with a situation, so they address it that way. But I do believe that we could get to a point where cops could patrol the community, get to know the community.
Well, my opinion on this is that, they're not out there to be your friend.
I know, but what? But
they're out there to protect your ass, not kiss it. Well, that's my opinion. They got a job to do, and they do it. And the people should be thankful that there's men and women, and even in this day and age, that are willing to do that when they got no backing and no respect. And they still go out there and do it every day.
Yeah, but you say backing, that's from New York.
Listen, when I was a police officer, it was a different time. It was before cell phones, before
What's
beepers.
different then to now?
Well, the technology alone, the communications, the beepers, the cell phones, the video. I was policing before you were born. What year were you born?
75.
I got promoted to detective then. I was out there policing, putting my life on the line. It was a different era. There was pro-policing. They wanted you to go out and stop people and follow up stuff and have a gut feeling. Today, you do what I did, and they consider it you're violating people's rights.
If you were a cop today, do you think you'd be suspended?
I'd probably be arrested in 5 minutes.
Why?
Because it's different tactics and stuff today. It doesn't fly what I did now. It's a different era. It's not only a different era, it's two eras. It's a couple of generations behind. I wouldn't last today.
Yeah.
Not because I didn't do anything wrong then. I was doing what the times demanded and what the job called for. Today, it's a different world.
Do you ever...
It's a different world. It's like saying, how would a dinosaur do today? Not good.
You'd be on Facebook. Let me ask some. Do you?
I'm on Facebook too.
Well, I'm not calling you a dinosaur.
I am a dinosaur.
Do you think that
that's what they call old cops that had their old
really?
Ways. Yeah, dinosaur. In the department, I'm considered a dinosaur.
Do you feel like law enforcement's like in your blood? Like, do you like?
Of course it is.
What I mean is, like, do you ever look at your neighbors like something suspicious is going on? Like,
if they're doing something suspicious, yeah.
But automatically just think that. You know what I mean?
Cops have a defense mechanism, and that's, you look at everybody a little suspicious. It's just in your nature.
Yeah.
You know why? Because you deal with so many people, and you see the people are fuck-ups.
What about stop and frisk?
The best tool that police can have. Absolute
But
best
even
tool.
that they were doing it in
How
neighborhoods.
do you think, if in bad neighborhoods, that's where the bad guys are. Where are you going to go to? Look in a good neighborhood for the bad guy?
Yeah, but it doesn't
the
mean
bad
everybody's
neighborhoods produce
bad.
the bad guys. Stop and frisk is the strongest and best tool that police could have.
Explain why.
Because the bad guys feel that if a cop is going to stop them and search them, they're not going to carry a gun. If you don't stop and search them, it entitles them to carry a gun. And what do you think is going to happen if a bad guy carries a gun? He's going to shoot somebody. He's going to rob somebody. So now if people are scared to carry guns, it cuts the robberies, the stabbings, the shootings, everything. If you got bad guys that are going to carry weapons, what are they going to do with these weapons? They're going to use them against you. It's common sense.
I mean,
it's a tool that has to be employed to catch people with bad guys with bad weapons.
I know. I just feel like there was a lot of regular people and good people that didn't need to be subject to that.
If you're not breaking the law, what are you subject to? 30 seconds, 20-second stop?
But it's,
and you should be thankful that they're checking. It's just like when you get pulled over with a car. Do you know how many car thefts there used to be? Who do you think stop the car thefts. Police checking on cars and catching the bad guys stealing cars. Who's going to do this work? If you're home in your bed sleeping, now you work, right? You work.
Mm-hmm.
You earn money, you save it up, and you buy the car you like. And you're in your bed sleeping, and someone steals the car. You don't want the cop on patrol to stop a car and find out that he got your car back? You'd be loving that cop if he got your nice car back for you.
Well, there was a couple of times I wish that someone would steal my car, and so I could get a new one for my insurance. To be honest with you, even with the docuseries that you have with who's it?
I have
with?
a series with Discovery
Channel. Now, how the fuck does that even happen?
Well, my name got out there in the industry, with the book and stuff, and you start getting publicity and articles, and production companies start to see that and take notice. And they see the story because they read it in a paper, and they say, man, this might make a great docuseries. And then they come and interview you, and they find that you got great stories, and you talk well, and you're willing to tell the stories.
Sure.
And next thing you know, you got a series.
How long did it take you to decide if you wanted to do that? Did you think about it, sleep on it?
About 10 seconds.
Really?
Sure, who wouldn't want to have their own series? Who don't want to be rich and famous? I didn't have to think long.
What TV show accurately depicts cops most closely? What would you say?
Well, Blue Bloods is pretty good.
Really?
It's a little corny and a little slow.
In what sense, when you say?
Well, with the family stuff, they show a lot of family stuff. But it really depicts how the officers handle jobs, what goes through their minds. It's a pretty good show, overall, And it sort of shows the mindset of cops and bosses and the police commissioner. I think they do a pretty good job.
Yeah. You spoke about being from one side of the Bronx and then becoming a cop and patrolling another side of the Bronx. Do you feel that cops should not patrol in their neighborhood or they should be in their neighborhood?
You're probably better off not in your neighborhood, but really, if you're going to do the job right, you could be in any neighborhood, But I think when you start off, to me, starting off to being a cop, you should be in a busy precinct because then you learn the job very good. If you work in a busy house, you can work in any house.
Yeah.
What I saw in the South Bronx in the 41st precinct, what I see in 1 year, in 1 year, it would take like 10, 15, maybe 20 years to see in another precinct. You see stuff, you see the underbelly of the city,
You feel police today need more training?
No, I think the police department trains the police very good.
Even better than how they trained you?
Yeah, there's better technology. They have shooting at the range. They have, computer training and scenarios where much different, much better training today. Training is very good. But they don't let the police do the job. I think the police want to do the job. I think they're trained to do the job, but they're being held back by politicians, police bosses, because it filters down from City Hall. And with the cell phones, everybody's thinking about, I'm on camera, and they're going to hesitate. And I think that gets police officers hurt and could get them killed.
Do you think cops ever feel like because of the situations where they're portrayed, as people are yelling at them or cursing at them or riots are being caused because, there's injustice going on or maybe not to them. But the point I'm making is you ever think that cops feel like, man, I'm out here trying to do my job and they're trying to say I'm doing this. Fuck them. Do you ever think that people get angry and mad where it's like...
Well, that's... You're talking about the police.
Yeah.
Well, that's why morale is low.
Yeah.
But they still do their jobs. Listen, the biggest proof of what police do was on 9/11. When 9/11 occurred, what did you see? You saw hundreds of thousands of people running in one direction. But you saw cops, firemen, and first responders running in the other direction towards the trouble. Everybody was thanking police, flying flags, cooking for them, bringing food in.
No, 9/11 was definitely,
Well, didn't it show what police do?
But there was also a lot
all kinds of cops running in that direction.
I remember
death.
9/11, but there was also a lot of people who came together There's a lot,
That's right. Heroes were created that day. But you
yeah.
saw police and firemen and first responders going then that direction. But you saw hundreds of thousands going the other way.
Yeah.
That's when a cop earns his whole pay for the year. Anytime there's a shooting on the street, everybody runs away. Cop runs in the direction of the shots fired.
Have you ever arrested someone that you truly believe was innocent, but you still had to do your job?
Yeah, I have talk. There's a big case in my book about that. You know, I had to make an arrest, but I wouldn't say he was innocent. I mean, he committed the act, but he was justified. You know, we were looking for a guy. Actually, another detective had the case, and he was looking for a murderer. We had a guy stabbed on the street. And the other detective was working on the case, but I was called in to, work on the case also because I had a street presence. And they wanted me to talk to people on the street.
What did they call you? Just Officer Friedman, or did they ever have any street name? Or
no, Detective Friedman.
Yeah.
And well, who do you mean? The bad guys
you
or the
have a
good guys?
street presence. Yeah, I mean, like what were you known as? Like, oh shit, that's Friedman. He's coming. You know,
exactly.
Friedman, really.
Friedman.
Yeah. Well, you weren't freeing them. You.
I have guys were telling me, because I've talked to guys now that it's being publicized. Guys were calling me after I got hurt, you know, even to this day. And they said after I got hurt, they were still asking, is Friedman working? Is Friedman working? Guys would come up to cops and ask them, you know, because they wouldn't want to fuck up if I was working. Because they weren't going to get no play.
Yeah.
You know. But getting back to this case, I was called in on this homicide. And I was questioning people on the street. And I followed up on stuff, and I found out who did the murder. And, you know, we went to his house. You know, we got to the building, located the guy. It took a little while, but the guy was justified in killing the guy. You know, the guy came home, you know, he works every day, came home and found this guy broke into his house and raping his wife. So he had a fight with the guy. And the guy cut him a little, but the guy got away. And then he chased him. And when he caught up to him, they fought over the knife, and the guy stabbed him. And the guy died. You know? So he was trying to catch the guy and hold him for the police. And the guy raped his wife, brutally raped his wife. So I had to place him under arrest. You know, but he had to go before the grand jury, testify, and the guy got off. He was an innocent, hardworking man. You come home and find someone raping your wife or daughter. What do?
Sure. You know, that makes a fucking great point. You know,
but I treated that guy with the utmost respect.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Of course. I was in his corner.
Yeah.
I just had to bring him through the procedure.
You didn't put the cuffs on too tight, right?
We didn't even put cuffs on him.
Really?
I didn't put cuffs on him.
That was a judgment call?
Yeah, that's my judgment call. And I think that would be 99% of any cop's call. He was no threat. The guy's crying. He did what had to be done. You know, someone else died because some scumbag died because of that. Absolutely no loss to society. And that guy walked out free, and he deserved to.
You know, that's a great segue to what I want to ask you. You know, you think about it, right? There's a recent situation, I think, that somebody was trying to kill, like, okay, so his son was with his mother, and I think the boyfriend was beating on her or something like that. And the son picked up something, I think, and stabbed him.
That was just recently.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kid was justified.
He's being charged for manslaughter.
You have to be charged with something.
No, I know.
But when you get to the grand jury, you'll be cleared. You know, when you get arrested, it doesn't mean you're guilty. You're being arrested. Now it goes to a court, and they decide. But you have to explain your actions. When you take certain serious actions, they got to be explained. I always had to account for what I did, but I was justified. But I have to explain it. It has to be proven. There's scientific evidence. There's forensic evidence. There's testimony. And you got to prove. And, you know, you take an action, but you got to justify it.
You know, I always say that the judicial system, is that how you say judicial? Am I saying right?
You're saying it right.
I'm a bad pronouncer sometimes. Even the police organization and I just feel like there's a lot of things like that are ancient, meaning they haven't evolved. even like the Catholic Church, I feel like they haven't evolved. I always speak about this, meaning like they should let.
Well, times change, of course. Every decade is different. You know.
Do you feel the police organization is
well? The police have
evolving?
they evolve. Of course, they have better training, better techniques.
But
you
what
know,
about
they
the
try
laws?
to blend
What
with
about
the
the
time.
laws?
The laws?
Yeah, like laws, like meaning like.
Well, certain laws. So they just look. De Blasio just changed some laws, and the city council, 1,000%. I don't agree with them. They say pissing in the street is okay. Do you know what that just did? That gave every pedophile, every pervert, the right to go over to your kid's school and show them, their junk. And then the guy just says, "My defense is I'm pissing." You want some guy pervert showing your 5-year-old daughter his junk? But now he's free to do it. I was pissing.
I thought that
I
if
was
you
pissing.
pee, if you get caught pee, you consider a pedophile. Isn't that something I heard?
No. You get caught pissing now, it's nothing. They want to give you
Really?
It's nothing.
Fuck, I'm going to piss in the street, you know.
Well,
No, I'm not
what
gonna
I'm
do that.
saying is you give it a license.
I pissed in the
pedophile.
street. You never pissed in the street before?
Right out in the street, no.
Alleyway?
I might have ducked into an alleyway.
Yeah, of course. I had to let it
But
out.
not
you know?
in front of the
You
public.
drinking that Macallan.
Not-
You never.
Not in the public.
Yeah.
Listen in public, urinate in public. They're saying it's okay.
Yeah.
You think that's okay?
No, I mean, I wouldn't say to do stuff that you're
But they're
saying.
doing it. De
But why is this
Blasio
happening?
lowering,
Why is this
Because he's
happening?
lowering numbers of crime by legalizing or decriminalizing it.
Mm.
So if you want to cut robberies, you don't want robbery numbers, make it legal. Right? I mean, that's not how you do it.
You say
you enforce laws.
Okay.
We have good laws, but they got to be enforced by the police, which they are, and then they got to be backed by the courts.
What?
How come you lock up a guy for shooting a guy or committing a murder, and you see the guy's been in jail or locked up 30 times?
Yeah.
How do you get locked up 30 times? You know what they need? They need accountability. The judges got to be accountable.
But they also need to turn it around. And what I mean by that is like even somebody like me, many years ago, being not making the right decisions. I've been arrested. I went away. I had a felony. I was trying to hustle.
I knew that.
I'm saying I was trying to
You
hustle.
know how I know that?
Well, would you fucking look me
that
up?
we've been doing.
No.
I knew you had problems with the police.
No, yeah, but that's not.
I could tell that.
That's not why I asked any of that.
Yes, it is.
No.
Yes,
It's because
it
of the
is.
climate that we had going on. I wanted your opinion. There's things I don't agree with you though, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No, of
There's
course
no-
not.
there's no
I mean, we can't all be clones. I understand
The
that.
point I'm making is
But I knew that you had a police problem earlier.
I don't want to say I had a police problem. Look, I went
If you
away.
wound up
for-
in jail, you had a
well-
problem.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't make them. At one point in time in my life, I mean, well, probably more than that, but just different things. I mean, I've been divorced, so that was a wrong mistake I made. I made mistakes.
Probably worse than the crime.
Yeah, I made mistakes, but the point I'm making is when you say like they have these laws, they also need to, like when you say, if you've been arrested this many times, look, okay, what the fuck are you doing? But also,
that's the judge's fault.
It should be the other side around too. Like I'll give you an example. For a while, I mean, I'm home a long time now. I did like 3 years, but the point I'm trying to make is productive member of society. I've went back to jails and spoke thousands of times, different
Okay, you
programs.
paid your debt.
What I'm saying is, why don't and I spoke to I'm friends with a couple of lawyers and why don't they
nobody
expunge
likes-
these
listen,
felonies like
Nobody
yeah.
likes the cop who locks them up.
No,
Nobody
no.
wants a ticket. No one wants their freedom taken
No,
away.
but shouldn't you free some things up? Meaning, like, look, you're clear. If you do 10 years, you never go back to jail. You don't have a nonviolent felony. Sometimes they stick these felonies forever. I know a kid. Forget about me for a second. I know a kid that I couldn't get a job because he had to fucking get caught with like a fucking 2 dime bags of weed.
Nah, I don't believe that. Who's gonna? Well, that's the employee doesn't want to give him a job because
He had a record. He had a record. And they figured. But the
Well,
point,
they figured it's not the police. That's the job.
no, but what I'm saying is, even me for a while, it was hard to get a job when I came
Listen,
home.
I obeyed every law. I didn't get locked up. All the cops I know didn't get locked up.
Yeah.
So everybody shouldn't get locked up. Obey the laws. We live in
No,
a society where
okay.
you can't have it running amok.
No, I understand what you're saying.
You
But
know-
people make mistakes.
I know, but
I
when,
feel like
when
some-
they make mistakes, they don't like the police because
No,
they
no,
made a
no,
mistake.
I have. It's not about not liking the police. I'm saying why not create a law where they expunge stuff.
They do expunge stuff.
Yeah, but you got to go through a lot of that stuff.
You got to go through things.
I'm saying they should.
You got to go through things to break the law too.
You don't think they should have like a fucking merit program where, like, look, if you're a productive member of society, you're paying taxes, you never went back to jail, we're gonna get this off you. Because people, you know what I realized in the law system, I learned judges and I've seen a bunch. I'm friends with lawyers, etc. They don't understand it till it happens to somebody in their family. Meaning, like, maybe somebody had a drug problem. I remember, it's funny too.
But that's a problem. They created a problem.
Have you ever, like...
I don't take drugs. I never took drugs. I don't stay
Nobody in your family
drugs.
was ever hooked on drugs?
No. No. Not that I know of.
Nobody in your
But I
family...
don't deal with people. I don't even deal with my family that much. But I'm saying...
Why is that?
I'm into myself or the girl I'm with, my wife, I don't...
Any kids?
No kids.
And you
I
never
was into
wanted
police work.
Yeah.
I enforce the law.
That's
So I'm not going to go out and break the law.
Here's one of the biggest questions I have for you.
Give me a big question.
How the fuck do
I'll
you
give you a
still
big
care?
answer. What's that?
You still care so much. Like, what is like?
I say, it ain't a job; it's a calling.
No, I know, but you say, okay, if you say,
I care.
No, I know, but
somebody has to care.
I see it. You really care about the police the police organization, the rules and laws of a cop. Like,
I bleed blue.
Oh yes, but the point I'm trying to make is, you're retired. You're not in the force anymore, and I'm sure there's some politics that you don't like.
I wasn't my oath, and I took it seriously.
Hey, listen,
I
there's
still miss it
Italians
every day, and I'm out 34 years.
There's Italians who pricked their finger and got made, and they just swore their oath. They became
They're breaking the law.
Oh, that's true.
They're breaking the law.
Did you ever have any organized crime arrest that you have done?
Yeah.
How hard?
I locked up all types of people.
Yeah. Now,
I wasn't prejudiced. I locked up
no,
all
I don't
types
mean
of
about
people.
prejudice. I'm talking about, moving on later on in life. When you arrested all these type of people, you ever have to think that you look behind your shoulder or you worry about anything? You ever feel like that?
I look behind my shoulder, but I'm not worried.
No, because
Listen,
of
when
all
they got
the
locked
people
up
you
by
arrested.
me,
Yeah.
they got to worry. I had a reputation. I think you just don't know me.
No, I don't mean like that.
I'm old now,
Yeah.
but I could still rock and roll. But back then,
Hey,
you
listen.
You didn't want to know.
If
me.
I knew you back then, that would be a fucking bad thing. I wouldn't want to know.
That's
you.
right.
I'd rather know you now.
You read the stories, which are all documented. Check out the series. Check out the book. Read about me. I'm all over the internet. I had a reputation.
When could people check out the
series is
docuseries?
on every Tuesday night. Plus, it's on Discovery Demand and Discovery Go.
How many
I have 6
episodes?
1-hour episodes.
6, okay.
6 1-hour episodes.
Are they going to come back for a season 2 or something?
Well, I'm sure hoping they are. And the book is doing very well. You get that on Amazon.
Have you did any book signings or anything like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I went to a police coin show. The memorable commemorative coins, which they've done one on me. And I went there and I sold coins and books, and I had a line for 2.5 hours for my autograph. And I signed books that people bought there and people that bought over the internet also.
You ever think there's any situations that are too dangerous for officers?
All situations are dangerous, And the proof of that is when police get executed in their cars, just sitting there. You're doing a police action and you get involved in a shootout and get killed. It's a terrible thing, but you're taking an action. But to show that people just want to execute you for just wearing a uniform, you see that police officers have been killed right sitting there.
Yeah.
The last one was a girl in the Bronx, Familio, and then before that, 2 years ago, was Lou and Ramos were killed.
Chinese guy and Spanish guy.
Yeah. They were doing nothing. They weren't even taking a police action, except that they were in uniform. But they were hated that much for being blue.
Did you ever have to go to therapy?
Me? No, never.
You don't believe in it?
I don't believe in it.
It's somebody who has been through as much as, you've been through. Like, it's not normal what you've been through. I know you say you're a cop, and yes, you are, and yes, you were. But a lot of those situations...
I didn't need therapy. They didn't affect me killing somebody. It's terrible to take a life, but it had to be done. And it saved a life or two.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying by that, but what I'm saying is these are situations that not a normal person goes through.
Well, I'm not a normal person.
They
don't write books
I
and
could tell
do
that.
stories and TV shows on normal people. I stood apart from people, I guess.
Do you think cops today need therapy? It's not. No, never.
No, but if you need therapy, you shouldn't be a cop.
Tony Soprano needed fucking therapy.
Well, he was a criminal.
To some eyes.
And besides that, he wasn't even a criminal. He was an actor.
Yeah. Rest in peace. No, but you know when you really
a good actor at that. But he was an actor.
Is it because
James
you're from the old
Gandolfini was
school
an actor.
that you don't believe in therapy?
Yeah, probably.
Did you go to the doctor a lot?
You know when my last physical was?
20 years ago.
You're not even close. My last physical was we were trying to figure it out. It was either 1968 or 1970.
Why?
When I got called on the police.
Why?
Because I don't need a doctor. I mean, I went to doctors when I couldn't stop the bleeding or my bones are broke, but I don't go I'm not looking for trouble.
So
if I got something wrong, I'd rather just die of it. I don't want to hear they tell me I'll mentally be sick. They'll tell me you got cancer, then your mind fucks you up.
Yeah.
I don't want to know that shit. I feel good. I don't think. Do you bring your car to the mechanic when it's running good?
No.
So I don't go to the doctor when I'm running good.
But that's the problem. That's the problem where I feel like, and that's why I brought up the therapy question, because I feel like so many people, especially in the culture that I'm involved in, meaning.
Well, the culture I was involved in, any kind of stuff like that, or having feelings, was a sign of weakness.
Of course, it's still that way. And
Well,
what I'm saying, it doesn't have to be that
strong.
way. Well, maybe a cop.
A cop has to be strong. You don't know the shit that they see and do. They go into homes, go into a building. The stuff you see, you would never fucking believe. You would think it's a fifth world country, never mind a third world country. And you don't believe it's like going on in today's civilization. And they see this on a daily basis if you work in a ghetto precinct.
Yeah.
You see horrible
What do you consider
things.
ghetto?
Low income, drugs all over the place, crime, dilapidated buildings, destroyed buildings. That's what I consider ghetto.
Quota. Cops have to fill a quota. Is that true?
Not true.
Honestly.
Quotas are
Be
against
honest
the law.
with me.
Quotas are against the law for police. But how would you rate someone doing their job? So there is performance evaluations. And there's no way of judging a cop how many crimes he stopped from happening by patrolling in uniform. When you go in, you don't fill out a form saying, well, I stopped a murder today because I was standing in uniform on this corner. They only know what you produce, right? So they count the number of summonses you give out, or the amount of arrests, or the amount of felonies or misdemeanors. It's the only way to judge performance in a police profession. You just can't say, well, there was no crime today because I stood on the corner in uniform. You can't judge it that way. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
No, it makes sense. It makes sense.
But quotas, they don't tell you, listen, you got to go out and lock someone up today or you're going to lose your job.
But
it doesn't
when
happen.
you mentioned performance, you mentioned performance, right?
That's performance.
So do they have performance goals?
They have performance evaluations.
So,
but
what does that
if
mean?
you're-
Like for someone who,
well, you go out there, you can't tell me if people are reporting crimes, right? They know how many crimes are being reported. Not that all crimes are reported, but people are coming in and reporting crimes. Now, I'll give you an example. Let's say the reports are coming in and somebody in the office is mapping out on a pinpoint map that there's robberies every day on this state corner where people are coming out of a train station between the hours of 5 to 7. Now, the police department will respond to that by putting plainclothes officers around there and expect you to make an arrest. You got to be expected to make an arrest. If there's a robbery there every day on certain days, Monday to Friday, from 5 to 7 p.m., when people are coming home from work, the police got to respond by getting out there and catching that robber or robbers. So they'll put plain clothes there, and you're expected to make an arrest, right? I mean, doesn't that make sense? To stop the robberies? So you put plain clothes out there to blend in or hide, and catch the guys that are committing the robberies, because now you know what days and what hours and where. You got to come up with a collar.
Who started this back when I was growing up and being a knucklehead? It was so easy to spot out detectives. I feel like they were wearing every outside football team jersey and jeans and boots. Who started that fucking trend in New York? You know what I'm talking about? Like
you say, well, we wore a lot of army jackets. That was pretty,
or football jerseys.
but that was just stuff.
You never
that was
wore a jersey. You never seen a
No, I
jersey.
didn't follow
But you
sports.
saw. Have you seen undercovers in jerseys?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's. I would say that's not something started by the police department. That's just the fashion of the times.
Yeah,
if
but
you got
when you're
everybody in the
undercover,
street wearing
when you're a
jerseys, you wear a
detective,
jersey.
when you're
how are you going to blend in?
But when you're a detective, you try to be like something. Is
You
it
blend in?
Yeah.
Well, depending what kind of detective work you do, most detectives are in suit and tie. That wasn't me. You know, I did detective work like they did, but I also made pickup arrests. You know, I did like anti-crime work, and my bosses let me get away with that because I produced on both ends. I made arrests on my detective cases, and I made arrests on pickups.
Yeah.
So they knew I was producing and making the police department and the bosses look good too.
You ever been suspended?
Never been suspended.
Really?
Never.
Not even close.
Well, I was taken off the street once because they thought there might be some community unrest. I wasn't suspended, but I was assigned to work indoors until the case went to a grand jury once. So I stayed indoors for about 5 weeks.
Now, we spoke about therapy. You're familiar with PTSD, right?
Yeah.
You ever feel like...
I never needed it.
Do you feel like you
I don't-
experience any of that? No?
No, not at all.
You never feel like any type of, voices in your head or nothing?
No.
The reason why I asked
The voices in my head come up with some good ideas, though.
Okay, well, I guess so now. Now you're making, books and docuseries and
No, I never had any psychological problems.
Yeah.
And I believe that if cops do, if there's anything to do, they shouldn't be a cop. If something they see that affects them, I think the stuff you see should harden you up, and you got to go on and handle that for the next 20 years or so.
Yeah.
If you can't handle it, not everybody's cut out to be a cop.
Yeah.
Not everybody's cut out to be a doctor. And I don't believe in lowering standards for that either, for anything.
You mentioned about teaching you in police academy, even moving forward, like throughout the force. What type of techniques do they teach you for interrogation?
Well, you make people repeat things, and if they're not telling the truth, they'll slip up.
Mm-hmm. So that's
try
ways to try
up
to get the
things.
truth.
You try to backtrack with them and stuff, and ask them the same question different ways. Stuff. There's methods, and you develop your own techniques as you do it, and you start to hone on your profession, just like an artist would or something. By doing it more, you develop your own technique.
You got 219 medals. I
Yes.
got that right? You ever get any money for that or any type of just medal?
No, it's just like a show of it's like an appreciation, like an attaboy. You did something good, you get an award. In other professions, every profession has it. You would get a raise, you get a better position.
Have you got any raises from the medals?
Not from the medals, but from my overall performance, I got promoted to a third grade detective, then a second grade detective. So with those ranks come pay raises. But every job, there's some kind of recognition. A medal is just a sign of a recognition for something that's out of the ordinary.
Sure. You look at something like, one thing that always bothered me. I got to bring up these things about Donnie Brasco, Joe Pistone.
He read my book and gave it his name is in my book. He gave a blurb on the book.
Really?
Oh yeah, he's on the internet. He's on Amazon, and in my book covers, he's in there for recommending my book. He praised me.
How did that even happen?
How does that happen?
How did that happen for you?
Well, we knew someone who knew him, and we sent him a copy of the book to read.
Yeah.
What they send out books before they're printed to the public. They send out what's called an ARC. That's an unedited, uncorrected, no cover, no pictures, and they send it to certain people that have name recognition, and ask them to read the book and give their review.
Sure. You know, the reason why I brought him up is Donnie Brasco in the real life Joe Pistone.
Joe Pistone.
You know, he took down a big leg of the mob at that time.
He did a great job.
And I don't know how true it is, but he was given a medal and $500.
No, I don't know anything about that.
Do you remember? Do you ever watch Donnie Brasco at the
movie?
End?
Of course.
Yeah. At the end, he gets a medal, and he gets like $500, and he explains like all that for
Well, no New York City Police Department awards come with money.
No, but
Overall performance, if you get promoted, there's pay raises.
yeah.
Department medals have nothing to do with money at all whatsoever. Not even close. Not even thought. I never even heard anyone ask someone like that. It's a question like that.
Yeah.
You know?
You mean if you mean
like even asking.
if
Never in my life heard that.
if medals come with money?
Yeah.
No, I mean, look what he did. Well, first of all,
that must have been some. That didn't come from the.
no,
the
but what I
feds
mean
or
is
anything
what
like that. It probably came from a private organization.
if I'm a cop, if I'm a detective, this is just my thinking, and I did that much work, I would be like $500 and a medal is like a slap in my face, in my opinion. Because keep in mind, in any job, if you bring something to the table,
well, that's how the police organization is. You get a medal if you do something way out of the ordinary.
yeah,
It's a sign of recognition to honor you.
they got to go into petty cash and
They don't do that.
okay.
There's no such thing in police work.
You're retired now. You're doing docuseries. You did a book. Do you ever miss being on the force?
Every single day. Wish I could go back tomorrow.
Why is that?
Like I said, it's in my blood. I doing police work for me was it gave me a rush, an adrenaline rush. I was on an adrenaline rush for 14 years. I ate it up. I loved it.
What's this whole story about 8 women? I'm hearing that you had 8 women.
Well, it was more like 7.
Okay, 7. Explain to me.
Well, it was talked about because when I got hurt really bad in that last career-ending accident.
With a cop
when the police car T-boned my car. I was in the hospital, and prognosis was very bad in the beginning. And I was dating a lot of girls. I didn't have a steady girlfriend then. So I was doing what any young guy that was in my position would be doing. I was dating a lot of girls and juggling them around. And when I was in the hospital, they came to visit me. But on this one day, they all decided to visit at the same time. And they all got to see and know each other.
How did you get through that?
I saw this, and I thought that was a pretty dangerous situation. So I had time to think, and I made like I passed out from the drugs and the painkillers I was on.
What's this I hear that you work at a pizzeria still?
Yeah, a friend of mine. I started working there recently.
Doing what?
I'm the night manager, just on the weekends.
Did you do it for extra money, or?
No, I was helping my friend out. He was a captain in the police department who put in 40 straight days at the 9/11 site. He was in a unit, Manhattan South Task Force, that was a first responder and was assigned to stay there. And he became very sick from working there. And he opened up this business, and he needed help with it. And I came in to help him in the last year. I hung out there because I had some other friends there, and I was always visiting them. And I wound up helping him out, and I took on a job, a few hours on the weekend.
Yeah. I know you mentioned, been mentioned about you're good at reading people.
Well, I felt I was. Seemed like it always helped me in my career.
Is there ever a time that you were not good at reading people?
I don't think so. I think I do pretty good at that. I had you pegged.
What about with being away?
I knew you had a problem with the police.
I don't have a problem. I think you're
you
missing
had
the point.
a problem.
I
knew there was something.
Why? No,
I didn't know exactly why, but I figured you had some kind of run-in with the police. I knew that.
I was asking those questions because
but when you were asking the questions, in my mind, I said you had a run-in with the police. I
had plenty
more
of
than a wave.
run-ins with police. I mean,
that's what I mean. I knew that.
No, but not like.
But that was something I read.
But not like.
I read it from just talking to you now.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it was a bad thing.
Yeah.
You did your time, you paid your debt, but I knew that you had to run in with law enforcement.
My
It wasn't a wave. I knew it wasn't a wave.
But what I want to get clear is my, look.
You asked me if I could read people. I read you.
Well, I mean, yeah, but you read me because I wasn't agreeing with you, and I was kind of.
But that's why I read it. I
Yeah.
read past these. I disagree with a lot of people, and a lot of people disagree with me.
Yeah.
That's always going on.
Let me ask you.
But I knew that there was more than you waving to a cop or him giving you a look.
No, but this is all good
But I
times.
was right.
These are all good times, though.
I know, but I was right.
meaning like the waving is all good times. I got nothing.
I'm just saying the waving thing. I knew it was more than waving from the questions you asked.
Yeah.
I knew what direction you're going in.
Yeah.
But I knew there was a backstory. I knew it.
You got to give me one instance where you feel like maybe there was that a cop should be, held accountable for what was done.
A cop is held accountable for everything he does.
George Zimmerman with Trayvon Martin.
He wasn't a cop.
No, I'm not saying he was a cop, but he wasn't. What do you think of a situation like that?
First of all, he wasn't a cop.
Mm.
I don't know if he had the proper training. I wasn't there.
Mm.
He got cleared, right?
Yeah.
Florida law cleared him. Stand your ground.
But even are you familiar with the young 12-year-old kid from Cleveland, Tamir Rice?
No.
He had the BB gun.
Listen, when you're out there doing your job as a police officer, you don't have time to distinguish between a BB gun, a fake gun, and a real gun. If you point a gun at a cop, like I said, that's your choice.
Okay.
That's your choice.
So here's the last one I'll give you.
I don't get. Do you think the cop? You want him to register that? Could it be a fake gun?
Okay, but
or
there's
a water gun. You point a gun at a cop, you got to pay the consequence.
Okay.
The cop has to react immediately, otherwise he's going to lose his life.
The guy I was talking about way before, was Walter Scott, right? From Carolina. He got pulled over for a broken taillight, right? Supposedly, I think that's the guy that didn't have insurance or whatever on his car. So he got out and ran.
Okay.
The video, cop shot him in the back 3, 4, 5 times. I'm not sure how many killed him. But he was acquitted. And they had video.
They don't have video of what's going on in the police officer's mind.
You don't think
that jury believed that officer felt threatened. But like I told you, I was chasing a guy who had his back to me.
How can
and he was still trying to kill me.
No, I know what you're saying, but I'm saying this guy is unarmed. Unarmed. How could he be a threat to that officer? Would you have handled that differently?
I'm not that familiar with the case. I know the case you're talking about, but I know he was acquitted. So 12 people, a jury of his peers, civilians, not cops, found that he wasn't somehow threatened enough that he was justified to use that force. You weren't there. I wasn't there. But a jury who had every access to every fact said the officer's story was good.
No, I know what you're saying,
right?
But what I'm saying is
court
this.
of law that he had
was
to account
unarmed.
to.
They couldn't mace him. They couldn't hit him with a fucking billy club.
I don't know. I wasn't there.
I'm just talking with you as like
I know, but I don't know. I wasn't there. But the jury who had the facts decided, who had much more facts than the public or you or me, right? They had access to everything, and they did their job. And these weren't police judging them that you would say is biased. This was 12 civilians.
I still think that
What about the other one where the whole country got up in arms over
Mike Brown?
Hands up, don't shoot.
Mike Brown.
And that was all fake.
Why is that fake?
He didn't put his hands up.
But you weren't there.
All the testimony proved it. And the guy who said it admitted he lied. The whole thing was a fake. Forensic evidence proved that he was reaching for the cop's gun. He attacked him through the window. Forensic evidence proved that his hands weren't up, the way the blood, they know. If your hands are up, how your blood flows, all the position, and they know all that. It was all proven. And the guy who made it up lied. And they had witnesses before that, the construction guys that were black that were across the street, but saw it.
But there are a lot of if you look at it, there are.
That was a lie perpetrated on American people.
But
That was proven to be a lie.
There was videotape, though. There was videotape. I don't know if you've seen that, where they were, I think it was in a helicopter, where people were just assuming that these people were criminals because they were black, or they were assuming that these people were criminals because...
No, they assume they're criminals because they act in a criminal manner. It doesn't matter what color they are.
Yeah. What about OJ?
You act in a certain manner, you're a criminal.
What about OJ?
Guilty as could be.
But
And
the
he got
jury
off.
acquitted OJ.
Okay, he got away with murder.
Why? Did he know
'Cause he
somebody
had-
on the force?
Why?
Did he have
Because he had a lot of
PDA
money
card?
for the greatest legal team ever made. He had like 10 of the highest priced lawyers in the country. He even had a team ready for an appeal if he got convicted.
Well, listen, what's next for Ralph Friedman?
Well, hopefully second book, hopefully foreign rights to the book, hopefully a second season, and hopefully a screenplay for a motion picture. Hopefully. On all
What
of
about
them.
girls? You still got 8 girls?
No, I'm down
Seven,
to
I mean,
one.
seven.
I'm down to one.
One, really? Why
For
one?
Since the accident. I stayed with that one girl who came every day and waited out all the other girls. I'm still with her.
So the most supported you stayed with. Hey, listen,
She
that's
proved
good.
her mettle right there.
In the midst of time where you
I'm so
needed
busy, I
someone-
don't have time for other girls now.
Really?
Yeah.
How old are you?
16. I'll be 69 in a couple of months.
And you joined the force when you were, what, 20?
I joined the force actually when I was 19, and I was too young. You had to be 21. They called me when I was 19, so I did non-law enforcement work as a police trainee, working indoors. I was in the station house, and I learned everything from the inside first. I learned, we did filing, we did telephone switchboard, we did fingerprinting. We did everything that was done indoors by cops so they could put more cops on the street. So I did that for exactly 2 years, almost to the day.
You say that the training is good. It's better these days. It's more advanced. But do you
Much
think they
more
put in the
advanced.
time like you have? Like, that may help them even more get to know the inside. Like you say, get to know. Like, I feel like it's pretty simple to become a police officer these days. The
Well,
process
today
is
they
quick.
have psychological tests you got to pass first. The academy is longer. The training is longer. You have to have a college degree, certain amount of college credits for each rank. I think, in my opinion, they always did, good training. I think the screening is weak today. The police department, well, not the police department, but the city brags about, how many different countries we get officers from. A lot of these countries, you can't vet them like they used to vet us today, back then. Today, you come from another country, they can't even get your records. We used to be, micro screened by, if you got a parking ticket, you had to go through a whole thing. And they used to go to your neighbors and everybody who worked for you. They can't do that in other countries.
How do you feel about there's a lot of officers now? I think they passed where I think you could keep a beard, like they were Muslim, and they also have a turban. Where they
No,
can put,
I don't believe in that. There's a uniform. If you can't adhere to it, then you don't take the job.
Then why?
You don't. The job
why-
shouldn't
yeah.
adhere to you. You have to adhere to the job. Just like any job, you have parameters that you got to take.
So why did I get approved?
Why didn't what?
It got approved. That officers
Because
are
of
able.
a liberal society. It's very liberal. And that's not helping society. But they want to be so liberal that it filters into every job and every aspect.
But if there's
You don't tell them if you're a Muslim or a religious Jewish person or a religious anything, they shouldn't cater to you. You're taking the job. You got to adhere to the job. If you take a job as that requires you to wear a suit and tie, or you have requirements in your job. So the job can't bend to you. You got to bend to the job if you want the job and for them to pay you. Because today everybody sues everybody. Everything's a lawsuit.
Yeah.
Everything is infringing on everybody's rights.
Most people always think that cops go for Dunkin' Donuts or donuts. They say that a lot. I'm sure you hear that. Cops go for donuts. What was some of your food spots that you like to
Well, I never ate donuts because it's.
I'm not saying you did. I'm just saying this is what
I like pizza.
They say the pigs. Wait, pizza.
Yeah.
What else? Anything else that you would frequent?
Nah, at those times, I thought it was a little risky eating in certain places. So I most of the time ate at home before I went to work, and I could wait till I get off. Or I'd go to somewhere that I knew was police friendly, like the courthouse diners that catered to lawyers and police, stuff like that.
I know we spoke about it briefly, but what's keeping you busy these days?
Well, the book kept me busy, and I'm still busy promoting it and doing interviews like I'm doing right now with you. And the TV show that I'm doing interviews for too. And the last couple of years, that's what I worked on, the TV show and the book. And I started doing a couple of odd jobs here and there. I did a security gig, and I managed a pizza store once in a while on the weekend. So, I keep busy. I've been working on a house. I bought a home, and I'm working on that. And I'm raising a dog, I definitely keep busy.
Do you do PI work? You ever do PI work?
No.
Okay. Never wanted to get into that?
I like being a New York City police officer. If you're going to play the game, you might as well be in the big league.
Now, did you like Giuliani?
Yeah. Yeah, he was a law enforcement and brought law enforcement back to New York. They definitely like Giuliani.
What about security? Do you ever think about doing security or anything like that?
Well, I do a little security on a Sunday night.
For like a club or?
No, for privately for a wealthy couple.
Okay, so you move around town with them?
No, I stay on the property.
Okay. How does that even come about?
Just connections. Just connections.
Okay, well, listen, internets. Ralph Friedman. We went back and forth. We, we agreed on some things, and
we agreed to disagree,
and we disagreed on some things. I do believe that people and cops need to, but more so, I think that a lot of cops need to be held more accountable. In my opinion, I know I probably won't get that answer from that response from you.
Not at all.
But
I think judges need to be more responsible and be held more accountable, and parole boards. Because you see these guys committing crimes and serious crimes and killing people, and they've been in and out of jail 30 times, or they get no time. How could you have 30 arrests and not be put away for good? You already proved that you're not fit to live with society. So you got to be put away. And that's the judge's responsibility. If he lets somebody out and they go kill someone, he should be held accountable.
Yeah. No. Hey, listen. I say this, and I say this wholeheartedly. If you're a person that's killing 30 people and you're out here and living that type of life, you deserve what's to come to you. But and this is not for you. I don't need your response to in all due respect to a guy like I said, that guy who got pulled over for a broken taillight and was running and got killed and shot from the back. I will never agree with that, Well,
I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm saying I wasn't there.
Yeah. No, I'm not trying to get that out.
And not only not being there, I didn't have privy to all the facts like the jury did, who acquitted him. That's all. Well,
listen, one day I feel like some police will, police the community and be cool with some people who wave to me when they come in. I'm
going to talk to some cops I know and then tell them.
Hey, listen, can I get a fucking PBA card? You got a PBA card?
I'm going to have them wave to you with a smile.
What kind of PBA cards do you get?
Does
PBA? That's my last question.
What about it?
Fucking people sit here and say, "Oh, I got a PBA." Fuck you. Does PBA cards even mean anything? When you pull people over, okay, and they showed you a PBA card, were you like, all right, did you care?
Yes, I cared.
Really?
That means that their family or a good enough friend gave it to them, and I would respect it.
Mr. Friedman, I need a PBA card.
I'll see what I can do.
Listen, go.
I can't make no promises.
Go check out the docuseries. Go check out the book. Okay. What are you on Instagram or Facebook?
No.
Ralph Friedman?
No. Street Justice, the Bronx is the Facebook page for the show. The book is Street Warrior. That's on Amazon.com.
And probably Barnes and Nobles.
Barnes and Nobles in the stores.
Yep. Okay. Well, listen. I appreciate you coming by.
Thanks for having me.
And it was an
No
enlightening
hard
story.
feelings.
It's an enlightening story. Internet's the most decorated detective in New York City, Mr. Ralph Friedman. Internets, if you enjoyed that episode, I want you to reach out to me. Email me. Tweet me, okay? Email thepremiumpeteshow@gmail.com. At Twitter, @PremiumPete, @PremiumPete on Instagram, @PremiumPete Show also. Let me know what you like. Let me know what you didn't like. And also, to all my small businesses or big business, no matter how small or big you are, you want to advertise with The Premium Pete Show, get at me. thepremiumpeteshow@gmail.com, and we'll figure something out, okay? Now make sure you subscribe, rate, and tell a friend to tell a friend. And I'll see you next episode. Cheer.